promised you guys another video tonight, but we have a person who thinks I should be done. And you look at that lot yawn. If you're wondering why, that is why. But the phone had died after 2 videos because I didn't charge it earlier in the day like I sometimes do when I'm at work, knowing I'm going to shoot a bunch of videos in one day. So I thought, you know, while we're waiting, might as well get my COD Blop 7 in for the day, right? And watched some LAN show. I used 2 1-hour XP tokens. Normally I don't bother playing that long. But playing Black Ops 7 has been quite fun. I'm still using... The default guns are actually really good. Like the default kit. Whoever decided on them, props to you, because I don't know, I'm like 20 levels in and I'm still using them. I'm probably actually going to mirror a lot of their setup in my own kit, because I like how, like, on the shotgun class they gave it an SMG, on the sniper class they gave it, I don't know if it's also an SMG or like a pistol, machine pistol. There's like a class that has, I don't think it's an AR, it might be an SMG and a marksman rifle, first fire marksman rifle. That actually has a decent sight out of the box. All stuff like that. So very good starting point. To the point, like I said, like I have, like I said, like blah blah blah. Basically, I don't have high enough stuff up to make it worth. I forgot to put this back in my keycaps. Check out if you guys are interested in happy hacking keyboard. I have the new Wisteria set, which is purple. Let's get out the letter opener here. I blame Ward over at Tech Syndicate, or Logan, as some of you might know him as. He made a video on this because they sent it his way, because he has done videos on other how, like, adapters for GameCube controllers. I have the 8-bit Do adapter that lets it show up as an Xbox controller, as well as a let me actually grab that, as well as a Switch. Oh god, it's buried. It took longer than expected, but I got a bunch of options here. I got one more coming. Man, is this puppy dusty though? Here's the other one. This one's for the Wii, or the Wii U, I forget which, because they both use that same plug. This is a Hori. They've all been a little bit different here. So I'm going to put those off to the side for now. But, like, to be truthful, once the GameCube Switch controllers came out, those became my main controllers I used, on Switch at least. I tried using in modern games my true Switch controller here that Paisley's going after. And like I said, there was this guy, which was a Hori pad that plugs into the Wiimote. And then this guy, this is what a lot of you might be after. I think it's still available. Did I leave batteries in it? I probably did if I did. Yeah, with some Duracells in there. Good chance this is dead then. I forget which button even turns the damn thing on. There's Switch. There's Xbox. Oh, look at that. It turns on. That is one thing about 8-bit do devices, is you really need the manual. By the way, that looks like it's for a lanyard right there. But there's no second hole for a lanyard. Very weird. So it does look like it turns on. Let's just turn it back off. And this is not only for GameCube. That's on this side, right? It also works with GameCube. Now the downside of putting this either in Switch mode or Xbox mode, the only, I guess there's two main issues, and this is a knotted up controller. This is my white one. It's my only GameCube controller that I have left because I wanted to use it with this for this. While I was working at Geek Squad, I did have somebody play competitive Smash. And I needed a controller to be able to do that. So kind of killing two birds with one stone. I got this one from him. I gotta clean this cable. I don't know where. Like here, some cat did something to this poor thing. Gotta get a tub of towels on that. Jeez. Cords are long. This thing's not the most clean either. It's a white one, so yeah. It was my only sole. I want to say it wasn't perfect, but you can see like the black in the groove here. I basically cleaned it up to the point where only that was left. So some of these other crumbs are from me. The white ones are hard to keep clean, but these sticks had no drift. The C-stick still feels real tight. So the issue with using you can see something spilled on this, and I need to go. Crap. That means somebody spilled something in it, probably in the drawer that it was in. Fuck. Kittens and cattens. That was down here, which has my Switch stuff and my SNES. I got an 8-bit do SNES for platformers. There's my second Switch controller. There's no... So maybe wherever it was stored in there. I think somebody did spill something in there and I cleaned it, but I must have missed. There's my Xenon. If they made this wireless Hyperkin Xenon, this could also be like my main controller. I would rather use a 360 controller over an Xbox One or an Xbox Series controller any day of the week. That's my backup Switch charger. Switch is in here. There's the controller. That's the cable. The Hyperkin have gotten a lot better cable-wise. And I actually was using the Duchess cable over here because I got my green Duchess. Look at this beautiful thing. So I was using this guy. And then my Switch 2 controllers were so dead. There's the charging thing for one of them. That the only thing I could play with was my Switch 2 Pro controller plugged in, because it'll work without being charged. And that was the only cable I had readily available. It was Type-C. So, I mean, the reason why this one's sitting out is I still need to play some games with it. I really haven't been able to try my PS4, and I do have another PS. Here's my DualShock, brand new, dusty as frick. That's why I gotta get drawers out here. DualShock 3. I got a working, known good working, and to try and charge that one to make sure the battery is truly dead, I have the official PlayStation controller charger, which later became a PSP charger, and other accessory chargers. Because the DualShock 3 is a weird one that actually requires a data connection to charge over USB. Remember, this is like early days USB, and like it's mini B, so it's early days non-proprietary. So even though it's a non-proprietary cable, that doesn't mean it's a non-proprietary charging protocol. So just to make sure, because if I plug it in wired, it works. It will not power up otherwise. So that's where this is at. I really need to clean it up again. Like I said, I could see something on the C-stick as well. You can see some schmoo here, a little sticky, and I'm like, oh, maybe the rubber got nasty. No, there's, like, on this side, you can see a little wetness. So, something... Sorry, cats, I didn't mean to blame you. You potentially didn't barf on it. This could be when it was in that other cart. And so, I still don't get how somebody managed that. They spilled the drink into one of the things in the cart, which are, like, underneath it. But yes, so I do have one GameCube controller. I used to have a 4-pack of Wavebirds. 3 were gray, 1 was platinum. Back with my GameCube and then my Wii, and then the Wii is a tragic story. We've been over that before. I lost my virtual. Yeah, the only thing I feel like could be a little bit better on this guy is A. It's got a little bit of mush, but we have L and R. And what's really cool about these is they're pressure sensitive and clicky. The only other controller that I've seen that on, off the top of my head, is the Steam controller, the original one. And it doesn't get utilized enough. So, like, a way that you could do that is, for instance, drawing a bow. Draw a bow, shoot. Draw a bow, shoot. You don't need a separate button then. Or driving a car. You know, click shift, or boost, or whatever. So that's cool. The other reason why this is awesome is because it does have the Wii version. That's supposed to be for a class controller or a pro class controller. I have 2 class controllers left with their Nyko adapters, so you could like strap the Wiimote underneath here. And really, really nice. And then I have 1 Switch Pro, or Pro Classic controller. That came out right before the Wii U Pro controllers did. Right, it came out towards the end. But basically you can take this guy and put it in here. And it would now show up as either a Switch controller or an Xbox controller. This adapter in general is just super freaking useful. So I'd have another option for GameCube that actually does have ZR, ZL, but still what are we lacking? We're still missing R and L3. Click, 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 click. We're missing those. And this thing feels like garbage comparatively. But I've tried many a thing over these years, to get myself a workable GameCube controller. The last one, like I said, and I actually have 2 purple ones, I think. I thought I sold off one of my purple, one of these. I have 2 purple ones and 1 yellow guy, and these are for Switch 1. And look what they have. Now, this is only... They're not, like, pressure sensitive. Yeah. They're just click. Also, this size of this guy, which is a Power A model this time. I don't know if others made it. These are stupid light. This doesn't have batteries in it because it did, and they were corroding. So I forgot to take them out. This thing also lacks like vibration, if I recall correctly, because it's like a lot of the unofficial. How the fuck did I manage that? There we go. A lot of the unofficial, or not first-party Nintendo controllers lack rumble. But this is actually what I'd use. So when I was playing Pokemon Pearl, this is what I was using when I was playing. I don't think Hyrule Warriors. I think I used the Pro controller for that. But most of some later Mario Karts, I was using this. It is slightly different. It looks probably very, very similar to the GameCube. But the sizing is legitimately like, I want to say this one's slightly smaller. The sides are flatter, like here. The sides are almost flat. Look at the GameCube. It's got like a little whoop to it. So it fills out your hand a little bit more. Yeah, this A button could use some work. So maybe I have to get a kit to refresh this thing. Oh, that thing's a little crunchy too. Like I said, it was my one GameCube controller, so I used it a heck of a lot. And when it came to me, big thing was the no stick drift, and they're tight too. You know, the rest of it, those Melee players are, freaking hardcore. They like sacrifice other controllers to put them in other controllers. He had one other color rarer than this. I was giving him crap like, that's the one that's the one I gotta get from you. He's like, no. I'm like, oh, I want the white one then. So there's a lot of lead up into this because that is what is in here. Is a GameCube controller. Tech Syndicate over there did a video on it, and I saw it, and I'm like, yup. So basically what this should do is solve our problem of, remember with this guy, we did finally get our L3, R3, and our both L and R, and then Z, R, ZL. Now it's flipped from how it is in reality, I believe, because this is Z up top, that's Z, that's R, right? So this is Switch specific. Z, because Z is always trigger. So that's trigger, right? I want to see if is the Wii one the same, Wii or Wii U? No, see, this is GameCube-esque. Yeah. So there were ways around that you can program around this. Like you could have another button that's not used in the game to switch that between L and L, but you really need in a modern game. It is expected to have at least bumpers, like both bumpers, right? So Z on both sides. And I've actually seen mods of people do that. And then also stick clicks, your L3, R3. And there are games that will not properly work without being able to click that for sprint, for example. Even though I may think other things should be sprint. All right, so we have a bundle of cables. That's USB-A to USB-C. Then we have GameCube to USB-C. So this is if you want to hook it up directly to a GameCube, or for example, the GameCube adapter on Switch. If you want to do that route instead of going directly to the Switch, which is, should be able to do, you need this guy, or if you want to go to this adapter for some reason. You shouldn't have to, though, because the brains in this should make it show up as an XM device. Now, here we have N64. Now, you're like, why? You don't have a lot of these retro consoles. And nope, I don't. I know people that do, though. So if I was going to go over to play with them, I'd be like, oh, let's give it a shot. Also, I wanted to pick up these cables before you can. I don't know how long this device is going to be supported, right? So I wanted to grab all the cables I will need ever with it, because they're like $10 a piece, if that. Before they didn't exist, right? Now in this case, for these, they chose to use existing ones. USB-C to NES cable. And it's a Retro Playground. There you go, Handheld Legend. So it's still one of theirs, but it is like packaged a little bit different, a little bit nicer. Same thing with SNES. Now this is one I might use. Probably the most common of these retro ones that I would use, because a lot of the GameCube games will come to Switch 1 or Switch 2. And realistically, the easiest way to play GameCube games is well, I mean, you might still, it's a Wii, but you'd still need to plug it in. So most likely out of all these, probably maybe USB-C. I don't know how long it is, right? Otherwise, like this one, for weird stuff like this, I always pick up, if it doesn't come with one, I'll pick up a cable, because you want to be able to like know that the cable's not the issue when programming and that sort of stuff. You know, from the GameCube. N64, that's a weird one. I don't know how that would or wouldn't work. Right. SNES, NES, sure. You know, you got the D-pad down here. You could do that. I don't know if it would be the most optimal, but like I said, even if I don't want to do these now, maybe I want to do it later. Right. And if you're spending as much money as this is, you might as well, this sort of thing, if you ever think you'll be able to, you'll want to do it, grab it now. Even if when you sell it on, you can say you have it, if it is something that you end up doing that with. Otherwise, like, you know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, somebody's going to have this, or you're going to have this, and you're going to want to plug it into one of these retro things because it's compatible, and you will not be able to track down the cable. That for the longest time, for example, was like the GameCube component cable. I remember being and I had one back in the day, because I had a TV that could do progressive scan. And then it turned out the one that was more readily available in the end for real cheap, because Monster kind of died, was the Monster version. Whereas the Nintendo one, which I had, which you had to, like, back then, Nintendo, like, online store wasn't a thing. You'd, like, mail in a thing from the documentation, like, to order from them. I want to say that you still had to do that with, like, early Wii as well. There was something for that I had to do that with, where, like, you have to, like, send in a thing to order them with a check or a mail order. And they would, like, you know, it was like old school. We're talking like ordering from a magazine, old school. 10 years after that should really be, 10, 20 years after that should really be a thing. You know, well, maybe not 20, because let's say 90, 17. You know, but almost 15 years, right? I didn't realize how gooey I left my GameCube, and or it really got hit by that spill. That's not good. Handheld Legend, though. So, I don't know if anything else is on this box. Nope. I may have to message them, though, because I bought a case. I know I did. I'll have to double check. But I am like 99% sure that I bought a case. Oh, double check that. If not, I'll go and buy the case again, because I thought I had it in the cart. My order actually did okay, it's supposed to be like that. I was like, why does it have these like speckles? It's supposed to be like that. Yeah, it even has this really annoying sharp seam that is on the original that will get shmoo filled. just like this white one. Okay, this is Ultimate Gameplay Set White. So this is for if you want to play standard style games or a game where the octagonal directional pad, and I actually think in many cases, unless you're playing a shooter, that this actually helps because it helps you go in, if you want to go diagonally, like it bumps your controller to that. Oh my, this feels surprisingly like, remember I was just fucking handling a real, like I said, I need to buy a rebuild kit for this thing. That A is a little shallow on here. GameCube was not known for having the best D-pad, by any means. But you're like, oh, I see two of the same thing on screen. Yeah, basically. They had a bunch of different colors, and you could get black buttons. And here's the thing: I picked the white one because I liked it. So I also got white with white buttons. Well, that's considered white buttons. Look at the top of these because they would have been like smoked black otherwise. And the only thing I changed, just to customize it a little bit, was I got the black bottom. Just to, there you go, GCU. That's called GameCube Ultimate Controller. Right, HHL, that's the Handheld Legend. So if you're like, oh, they're really gonna make this, yeah, some people were like that, right? They already have, like, one of their biggest thing is a mod kit for the original GameCube controller. So this is kind of like an extension of that. I want to say we did the reverse of that back in the day with the Phantom keyboard, where we started out with basically replacing the entire guts. That's what the previous kit was, essentially, like a PCB swap for this, right? And then we're like, oh shit, we didn't actually have to do that. What if we just swap the controller, like the controller inside of there? They kind of did the opposite here. They started with basically a controller swap or a PCB swap in here, like right that. And they're like, okay, but yeah, that makes it a better controller for, yeah, I would say this fitment could be better. Like that should be tighter. It is tighter on that side. And I did have them build it for me. I could have built it myself. Another one of those projects where I want to spend my, like, some projects I want to do, right? Then there's other projects where I want to spend the time doing it. And some projects where I think I want to spend the time doing it until I have to do it, and then it takes for fucking ever. But yes, these annoying sharp bits, they're not as bad on this one. It might just be a lot more worn in. But there's always been this, like, raised lip on the bottom half of, I mean, you can even see the texture on the top half of this controller and the bottom half are slightly different. Like, they're actually, like, yellowed a little bit different too. So I'll just have to wear it. This feels, now it doesn't feel exactly the same, right? These cup in a little bit more, like this bottom lip is here, right? But this whole slidey click, they did an amazing job on making these feel, okay, this individualized, that's a big thing from them that they advertise, these individualized D-pad. It feels better than the original, I can give you that. The one thing that I might have done is the individual D-pad on like a PlayStation has its use, right? Because they're effectively individual buttons. But the fact that there's no like gap between these, like there is on a PlayStation, does kind of make it harder to use. It feels miles better than this. This is like a mushy piece of... Like, it works for selecting shit in menu, or like if you're down here and you're like, oh, I need item, like that sort of stuff. This has like a viable D-pad for playing anything. Not in my opinion, at least. Now, one thing that a lot of people complained about is the C-stick. The top of the C-stick over here is quite a bit smaller than the top of the C-stick over here. Apparently that has, because there were people complaining about it, of course, right? Apparently it's got something to do with the hat or the top of the stick that is in here. Right, like the pre-made, pre-available stuff on the market. This is as close as they could get to the C-stick. I didn't actually... To me, this looks semi-translucent at times, but it is, but it isn't. I don't think it's supposed to be. It's like a dark gray, like graphite color. And that's where my order got a little bit messy, is somehow I put it through, because you could choose like certain like sticks and buttons and stuff like that. Like these are very clicky, right? You got your home, your plus minus. I kind of wish these would have been up here. You know, here, look at this guy. Yeah, I got very used to this. Right, it's very similar to the Switch controller. From my understanding, looking at the guts of this, is like there's a PCB there for all this brain. Like kind of like, you look like in between where that would be. Kind of like the Wavebird a little bit. The Wavebird went even further though. I'm guessing that's a reset button. That's probably why it's all down here. Is because they centralized the brains. Wow. At least compared to the Power-A, that A button and that B button, suspiciously similar. Yeah, that's X and Y on here, on the original, feel really good. Maybe a little bit more travel on the new one. Yeah, it's a little bit more travel on this one. Probably more similar to this guy. Let's check the Hori. I would say the Hori is actually closer to the original. Oh, the stick is not at all. I don't know if you can see that throw on the stick there. Yeah, that throw is insane compared to this thing's throw. Because if you look at the stick length, that's why it's considerably longer on here than it is there. This one has a taller stick, right? But the range you can throw it is not as far, right? So it kind of works out. And I don't know if you can see in there, but you can see like dents around this thing from the... Because this thing's cheap. It feels cheap. I don't think they were that cheap. They're like probably 40, 50 bucks, especially for the Pikachu version. Had to get the Pikachu version once it was out though. But I would actually say the Hori feels more similar ABXY, and the new Handheld Legends. Feels closer to the Power. Now this D-pad feels even worse than the original. What did I just knock down? Oh, and this, the Hori D-pad is like, it's a mushy mush. Mush. Ugh. It's a mushy mush. Like, ABXY feels, and C-Stick feels surprisingly like the original though on that. Like I said, I use this guy a lot. Once it was out, I mean, like I was using the purple ones, but then especially once the Pikachu one came out, I'm like, oh, if I'm playing Pokemon, I gotta use my Pikachu controller. This lip here is a hard lip. I almost wish they would have taken like a deburring tool to it, because these are smoothed out so beautifully. I almost feel like that could have been. What do you guys think though? Should I have just gone full white? I didn't want to like. Otherwise, I felt like these would be in the drawer, and I'd be like, "Heh." You know, I wanted to give it like a little tuxedo style or something, a little penguin. These a little smaller. Yeah, it's because they're rounded. They feel just a hair smaller. You could get digital triggers that are basically on and off, that used red low profile switches, I think from Kale. They're like linear. Apparently, I read a bunch of stuff. People were saying they were super sensitive. Now, if you only needed, you know, like say if you're going with one of these, where you just need the, and you don't care about the like, the analogness of it, which I do, because this is going to basically stand in place of a modern Switch controller or a modern Xbox controller when I use it. I don't think this hat is too bad. Otherwise, for the people that are... See, the other issue with this is if you look at that angle right there, you could put a wider head on there, but then it's going to hit the side. Because it's designed... Like, basically there's a certain width here that fits within this hole, if that makes... And that hole is smaller. You look at that hole versus that hole. You know, so basically because the head is smaller... And probably the actual, like, analog, what's that analog? It's like a TMR, I think. I don't know if it's just this stick that's TMR. But if this one is, actually, I might have that wrong. I think it is. I think they're Hall effect. The big thing, though, was, oh, click, click. Click, click. Click, 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 click. Basically, what I want this thing to show up to PC when I plug in is as a Xbox controller, and I also need to put it in Switch mode. So that yeah, I did pay for the protective case, optional, $5.99. I'll have to message him. I did check it though. Cool. I'm glad I bought that before there. Okay. So, I'm guessing they want to get their branding out there, but like... That's not the one I looked at when I chose mine, I can tell you that much. Yeah, I can see what they're trying to do, branding it and whatnot, you know. Black stick. So that's the only pre-built. They had a lot more pre-built colors when I was ordering. Here's the ultimate that I bought. Might have been looking at the funded on Kickstarter. I just really like the white one. And there were some combos, like I liked this, right? I wanted the clear, but I think clear was out of stock. I like this, right? That's my guy. Right? Except I didn't like the big black circle on the top. Like I wanted to just look clean. Like I said, there's a reason why I have the white one. So we gotta go to RGB underline. Oh, motion. It's got motion sensors, dual Z buttons, Hall effect joysticks, Gilly TMR sticks. There you go. So I think there's some restriction on the smaller stick with like that's the size of the guts in there, so they actually had to make the opening smaller, which made the top of it smaller. And here they're showing you could get it swapped with a, depending on what game you play. I don't know if that's a thing that Smash players want, is they don't want the maybe they don't want the analogness of it, right? Software customization. You can even like do it on your phone. Remap inputs, like if you notice how that's like a phone one. If I recall correctly, you just plug it into the phone and go to like a website. So I'll have to figure that out, right? GC Ultimate, like required 1 to 21 days. I got mine like within a week, but I did a 2-tone color kit, and there was not this keep the extras option. Send me the extras. Keep the extras. Shell color, 2-tone back shell. Apparently, somehow mine also went to bone white. I want a charcoal black back. Gate plate, I wanted white because I didn't want it to look dumb, and then I said octagonal. They do give you both. Then I didn't do any custom screws because I think these are like anodized screws. If you click here, it's like a blue, maybe a red. You know, I just thought, you know, I want to keep it clean, just like my original. Alright, next tab. ABXY, they literally only have bald, translucent white left. Apparently there were like a bunch more colors originally. Then you had light gray clear for the sticks, or black. Originally I was going to do black, and there were more buttons available in black. Like I could have done, I think more of it in black. I think ABXY might have even been available in black at the time. You got transparent clear, and you have translucent white. So I actually went translucent white just to match everything up. White, white, white. Next tab. Then here you have analog set, where it's got the sliders and then the capacitive click, right? Or you got the Cherry MX. I went this because I want it to work like a normal one. Then you could do OEM performance or light performance. I also read reviews of this thing. This OEM, like I said, that feels bang on to me. I don't know that maybe if you're somebody, you know, going for like the minimums or something, you're going to want lighter performance. I have adult hands. I like Cherry MX black and Cherry MX clear switches. Yeah, I was debating like, I should go light. Like I'm almost customizing it to just customize it, which is not the right thing to do, right? And then yeah, I did get the case. I don't see the case anywhere, so I'm gonna have to hit them up. And the reason why, for anything like this, you should have a case for it, if you ask me. Headphone case, mouse case, down there, headphone case. Still need to open up that package. I keep forgetting about it. Keyboard case, that's for this guy. Not this kitten. Hey, Miss Kitten. Yeah, you got eye booger. Are you gonna let me get it? You don't like it when I do that. But yeah, so these are Hall effect. That's what I want to do, and I want to make sure I did order a case. So somebody forgot. And my one feedback to them so far is, yes, I know that even on the original, this seam was rough. This seems more rough. You know, like it should be in more. That, or you should have, as much as it's correct, right? I don't think anybody ever liked that. You know, your hand eventually wore it down. You know, if that makes sense. So yeah, this thing feels, I mean, I'm sure if you guys are somebody who professionally uses a GameCube controller, you may be able to find some differences. But as somebody who's just got this guy here, one that he basically used since it was launched for Switch, as well as an original that's a little bit tired. Yeah. And yes, you can see that this guy was used. And it's a little bit weird too. Like, this was as close as it got. People are like, oh, but it's no GameCube controller, because if you look, these aren't circles. They're like a little bit like, so it's a little bit like squared out more compared to the original. Like I said, the stick was real long. But on certain games, you know, this would have been your best bet. Now I can play, and Mooski said he's interested, but now I can play GameCube controller in anything, on anything. Like, I should be able to. The annoying part might be putting it in Switch mode. I guarantee if it gets put in Switch mode, it will not be able to wake the console up. I mean, even the Switch Pro, not the Switch 2 Pro, but the Switch Pro controller can't do that on the Switch 2. And then I wonder how painless it is. You know, if I want to go play, if I need this in X input mode for PC, right? How painless that is, because like on a lot of 8-bit do, you just start it up while holding a certain button. Maybe that's the case in here. I have yet to really delve into the software, but I'm hoping so. That it's as easy as, you know, like ka-chunk, or like I said on that 8-bit do SNES controller, there's like a mapping on the back that says hold this button while turning it on to put it in this mode. Hold this button while turning it on to put it in this mode. Hold this button while turning it on to put it in this mode. You know, maybe there's something similar with this, or if there's different LED colors, we can use like the power button to cycle through. But I plan to use this thing. The white on white looked clean, but I thought it needed a little bit of flair, and I liked how the red back looked. I didn't like how this being black looked. And then I toyed around with the front being, you know, black being black, front being white, and all the buttons being black. And it just, didn't look clean anymore, you know? It's not cheap, by the way. Though, any, like, high-end customized controller, if you guys have seen my Xbox Elite 2 Xbox Design Lab one, or if you got it's not the DualSense Edge, I think it is. That's their high-end one. You know, it's getting up into that price range easily. Sadly, I'm not going to be trying this tonight because, made you guys vomit everywhere. That's our time. It's blown out on the camera for basically 5 a.m. So sadly, not going to be able to get this set up, but, you know, I had Friday off, yesterday off, and I have Monday off. So and I just got Hyrule Warriors, and I tried playing with the bigger Joy-Cons on the Switch. Hyrule Warriors, because there's a lot of like front button mashing. Not a vibe, not a vibe. A lot of Hyrule Warriors was X and Y too, which is probably not going to work. I'll probably do AAAB, AAAB, as long as I know what it is, because I'll be able to map on the device itself, right? Maybe able to say programs either in whatever device is programming it or the thing itself. But they were doing a lot of, or it was YYYYX, YYYYX, I think. Which I don't want to be playing the game on these outer guys. That's the whole point of the GameCube with this centralized thing. It was A in action, B was basically back or the opposite of this action, and then these were like other optional actions, right? So it may take a little bit of that's a little bit of remapping that may need to happen. Now in some games you may be able to switch it, or I may not have to remap it here exactly because there are different control modes in Hyrule Warriors, so I may just be able to switch one of those. But yeah, like I said, this thing feels. No, this thing's been worked in, like I said. The A-button's a little, still, it bugs me. A-button's a little soft, and this guy's, it clicks. I think the Z-button's supposed to click. Maybe it is. I'm definitely not into those, the HHL ones where they like, here in this part, they branded it HHL. And they like purposely had it like as contrasty as possible to make it like stand out, probably like more than this guy. I'm kind of like, I want it to like I think this is close enough. If you hand somebody this, unless they know the trigger, like because they have the flare up top, but they don't have it at the bottom, which does work for my bigger adult fingies. They might not notice, to be truthful. You know, or they might just think it's a normal aftermarket one. Yeah, like this feels smaller. Also, the angle on the grips is even more close together on this thing. Not having the analog triggers on here makes it just feel a million times worse. But yeah, I mean, like I showed you, I use this enough to make like and it's so cheaply made that I put dents in the main stick. You know, from boom, 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 that sort of stuff. So I guess maybe one improvement that could be done here that you'll see a lot of it is they'll have like an acrylic or plexi around here, like a hard plastic, and then the stick will actually be like have a steel, at least collar around it, stainless steel or chromed to make it real smooth. You know, we'll have to see how it holds up. Parts are available for these, obviously, because they're basically built from parts. How long that'll be a thing, who knows? But I mean, hey, technically this is still usable. It's held up since, you know, whenever the white controller came out. Made of Nintendonium, as many would say. Ugh, is it filthy though? White does that. So let me know if you guys are interested in this and what your thoughts are. Check out the project. Like I said, software wise, I think on Tech Syndicate's video they go into it. Maybe I will once I figure it out. I really don't want to like you know, go into that or look into it before I have my own time to play around with it and see what I got to do. You know, charge this bad boy up, and like I said, I got two things for it. What was I playing on the home theater PC? I bought Dynasty Warriors on there. I forgot that came out a couple months ago. Didn't it just? I mean, I've opened it once or twice, configured settings, but I haven't actually started the gameplay. What else did I buy on there? Fuck, I forgot. I started a game not that long ago, so can use that for this. And then I just got Hyrule Warriors, so that's probably gonna be my main squeeze for a while, because the one on the Switch, I don't know if I 100%ed, but I played it until I was done, and I had all the DLCs, you know. And the one for the, I think it was the Wii U. I think it was Wii U. Same thing there. I actually considered buying the 3DS just to get that 3DS variant. They did release on Switch with both in HD instead of, you know, potato quality. That's surprisingly expensive. At some point I'll probably pick it up for the Switch too, just because I really like Dynasty Warriors games. And so far this one you're playing as Zelda in the newest one. Not that that's a problem, but she doesn't have a sword. I prefer sword or I mean, they call her blade, but all of her big attacks are sending things out, like it's more magic. Like it'd be I don't want to say caster based. They're like magicians in the original Dynasty Warriors. It's more like that. The builder person, who's the sister of the king, is very similar to a previous one where you were the sort of researcher person that would like build stuff as well. She would have like a block she'd roll around on and stuff. Kind of cool. So they're, you know, the gameplay is much more focused on like building up power attacks that are quick time event-ish, rather than, like, I prefer some of the older styles of Dynasty Warriors where you would have different they switched this a while ago where in this case it goes y, like y x y y y x y y y y x, or you might be able to go y y x whole, like X and hold it, or double tap it. When you get back old enough, it was actually like closer to a fighter, where you had combinations of those would kick off stuff. If that makes sense. And there still are combos. In the new one, they do help you a lot, which is interesting. And it's actually good because they actually they force you to switch characters as well. But then the combos for the people, so they actually put like the combos off to the side. I'm like, oh, you know, like, and you can turn it off if you want. By default, it's on by automatic. So if you play with the character enough, they'll stop showing you. I actually turn it on to be on all the time, just because like maybe I'll figure out Zelda's combos, and until I'm playing it fairly regularly, that is not a thing my brain wants. So if I like, that's how I work at work too. If I have documentation that has something, or I'll make documentation so my brain doesn't have to retain that. It just needs to retain that there's documentation. You know, same thing here. I'm like, oh, there's combos. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. So I really do want to give this a try, but it is already quite like, oh, like, even when they put stuff on here, they did a very good job. This feels very good. Like I said, the buttons feel very similar to the power controller. And I know you're like, oh, well, you said it's really cheap and blah, blah. Yeah, but the buttons feel good. This guy's, like I said, a little... It's used. But with this thing's existence, maybe I'll just clean it up and put her away. You know? It's surprising how close they got. Like I said, they got all this. Seriously, I picked it up and I'm like, yep, that. Some of you that are even more into these GameCube controllers, and I may say something, oh, it's off in this way, or I won't use it. I'll still put there. Well, for you, they still have the kit where you can stick new brains in this guy. And out there, because of the Melee market, there are like replacements for most of the shit with this, if I recall correctly. A lot of people, and some of the people that I played, you know, with, that were highly competitive in it, still say a lot of the best parts are original, at least at the time. Now, that was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was when I was last, you know, because kind of when I switched jobs. That actually, when the person switched jobs, they switched jobs before me, so it might even be longer than that. I'd be surprised, because I think I found out recently that you can actually use like third-party controllers in those tournaments and stuff now, which I find surprising. So you could use something like this, I guess. Because that was my worry. Like, people are like, oh, but what about people who are using it for Melee? Does it work for doing wave dashes or, you know, whatever? You know, on the without the analog trigger, you know, with the digital ones and stuff like that. And my thought was like, wait, do they actually allow? Because like, I'm used to tournaments, okay, where like they'd be like, yeah, it's got to be a Nintendo controller, like OEM one. You know, that's I ran into that when I was playing Call of Duty on 360 as well. Because the Razer controller had the option to have switches on the bottom, even if you didn't have them there, because it had the option for it, couldn't do it. And that was the one I was used to playing with, right? Not that I couldn't with the other one, but I got, like, we used to wear through controllers, right? So I was quite used to it. So I was just surprised to hear that, like, and I guess that's like a modern day, like, oh, if you can up your game by having better peripherals, cool. Whereas, like, back in my day, I don't know, like Battlefield 2 comes out and they don't have widescreen support because people with widescreen would have wider FOV, and that would be advantageous. And that happened in Overwatch 1 as well. People with ultra-wides didn't get ultra-wide support because they're like, well, you're going to have a wider FOV, and they would have an advantage, and we want an even playing field. So if you launch Overwatch 1 on an ultra-wide, you get a 16:9 screen still only. Forget how they used the, like, I don't know if they just made it black or if they, like, you know, like made it color or something. I don't remember, but that's the sort of stuff I'm used to, like tough shit. I mean, that's why like onboard memory for mice used to be a thing, or just no profile at all. Like, you know, you just have the basics as is. You know, but things like I said, you can put a whole new guts in these that make them more compatible, more up to date, etc. And apparently, in some cases, use completely different controllers or fully modified. I don't even want to know how you, like, verify that people aren't doing weird shit. Fighters went off the rails too. Melee is technically a fighter, but, like, in general, when they went to hitboxes, you know, where there's no stick, it's all button, because you could literally do combos in games that were never intended. Because, like, for example, you'd never be able to push forward and back at the same time, or you couldn't ever do this upright transition as quick as you can with buttons. Now they're like the standard, from my understanding. But as somebody who used to play fighters, like we're talking like Soul Calibur 2, Guilty Gear. It was the one that was the last one that was exclusively done on PS2 in Japan only. That one's played a lot. That was before Blaze Blue. I was a big Soul Calibur 2 fan. Street Fighter, I tried to get into 4, I think. But then I started with the sticks, so like maybe the hitbox would help me, because my wrist, when I use the stick and I go, it swells up to be like massive. And that's what I was like, oh, can't do that, because I was like in pain, uncomfortable, and after doing that for a while, I couldn't move my wrist on the left side. Not good. So that's when I was like, okay, no more fighters. Bummer, because they're a fun thing to play at conventions. But yeah, done with that. Sorry, body. Yeah, I cannot wait to try this out. I'm getting tired. That's why I'm drooling on. I can tell that. So let me know what you guys think about my little pickup here. Was not cheap. I need to reach out to them about my case. Maybe my order got messed up because, like I said, for some reason it went through as white top, white bottom, even though I spent and they saw I spent the money, and they're like, did you mean to order a separate color? Because it came through as white bottom and white top. Or do you just want us to refund you? And I'm like, yep, I intend on having white top, black bottom. They're like, oh, yep, no problem. I'm thinking this needs a charge. Yeah. Nothing. So I'm going to go plug her in overnight. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Peace.